2 to 3 years is the time needed to see the next God of War game, which will still be a PlayStation 4 exclusive and will continue Kratos' tale in Scandinavia. This much we concluded after seeing several clues from the last game and many hints within the interviews with its director, which we will discuss in detail in this video in order to have a better idea of what God of War 5 is going to be like. Welcome to a new episode of What It's Going to Be Like, the show where we try to imagine the most accurate shape of an upcoming game, regardless if it's confirmed or not, and we base that on rumors, speculations, and hints from developers. Today we are going to talk about God of War 2, or 5, or whatever its name is going to be, the sequel of the highly successful 2018 soft reboot. God of War has already become the new model of the single-player games thanks to its fun and satisfying gameplay, a compelling story, and a substantial campaign requiring dozens of hours to finish. And before we continue, as always, there is going to be a lot of huge spoilers for this game. So if you haven't finished it yet, you should probably stop watching this video right now. But if you have, why not consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new video. It took 5 years for the God of War franchise to reinvent itself and to make its triumphant comeback. As commented by Cory Barlog, the game director, a big portion of the 5 years was we had to start from scratch. We had a core engine, but we really redid a lot of stuff. The previous God of War games, when we went from God of War 1 to God of War 2, the core engine was there. On this one, everything really needed to be redone, because we just had torn the engine apart in so many different ways. This means good news actually. We won't have to wait another 5 years to see a sequel, since the engine and the game assets are already made. And by looking to the release pattern of the previous games, there is always a 2 to 3 years gap between each two main installments. If Santa Monica Studio stays faithful to this pattern, we can expect the next God of War to be released in 2020 or 2021 at most. As for the console generation that will host the next adventure of Kratos, many think that God of War 5 will be released exclusively on Sony's next console, probably as a launch title for the PlayStation 5. Others speculate that the game will be playable on both PS4 and 5 in a way similar of what Nintendo did with Zelda Breath of the Wild. What I think personally is that God of War 5 will still be a PS4 game. Let's not forget that back in 2007, God of War 2 was released on PlayStation 2 a whole year after the launch of the PlayStation 3. The reason behind that is simple: the sales would be a lot better on a more popular console that was the PS2. In a similar way, the PS4 is the most popular console of this generation and it's the best option for maximum sales. And of course, nothing will stop Sony to port its game on its newer console later, just like they did with almost all their IPs. Several clues in the last game indicate that future installments may explore different lores and methods, in addition of the game director's confession that he has plans for 5 more potential sequels. But as for the very next God of War, there is no doubt that the Norse mythology is still going to be the setting for the game. God of War 4, even if it's not its official name, has one of the longest campaigns among all single-player games. Yet there is this feeling throughout the entire game that the developers were saving a lot of elements that the Norse setting has to offer for future installments. Elements like the 3 remaining locked realms that we will certainly visit at some point in the next game or games. Also, Odin, the king of the Norse gods, is still to be seen despite all the references to him and the constant feeling of his presence during the adventure. And of course, there is the death of Baldur, which triggers the beginning of Ragnarok, the Norse version of Armageddon, and you can bet that this event is going to be in the center of the next or maybe the third game. And finally, the huge cliffhanger with which the game ends, showing the next game's main antagonist, who is none other than the thunder god, Thor. And speaking of characters, one of the most important characters in the latest games is Freya, a very famous figure in Norse lore who helps Kratos and his son multiple times throughout their journey. Unfortunately, by the end of the game, she did not take the death of her son by Kratos' hands very well and swore vengeance against him in one of the most memorable speeches in the series. So I would not be surprised if we met her again in the next game as one of the main villains that we will have to fight. Other Aesir gods will certainly step in, especially after what Kratos did to their brethren. But the final boss place will probably be reserved for Thor. As for Odin, although he may make an appearance, we will not be able to fight him until the third game, assuming that this is going to be a trilogy. I expect Atreus to be in the center of God of War 5 with much more development to his character, especially now that we know that he is Loki. And let's not forget that Kratos did not tell him everything about his past. He still doesn't know what his father did to his old family and what his reaction is going to be if he ever finds out. Of course, all of these are pure speculations. Feel free to tell me what you think in the comment section. God of War's ending contains some mind-blowing twists and revelations that will greatly impact the future of the series. Atreus being Loki, Faye being a giant and the mastermind behind the events of the entire game, but the most important detail in my opinion is the drawing that only Kratos saw at the end and the one that many think depicts the death of the Spartan. If that's true, then we can assume that future installments will have new protagonists and Atreus may be one of them. But personally, I don't think that's the case. Let me explain. First, in all the other wall drawings, we can see Kratos depicted from his left side, which shows his body painting and leaves no doubt about his identity. Except for our last drawing, where we can only see the right side. This is clearly intentional to keep us uncertain about the real identity of the man in this drawing. The second point is the lower body cloth is different both in shape and color, and while it's not impossible for Kratos to have a different dress, it's still very suspicious, especially that Atreus looks pretty much the same in all the drawings. And finally, it's Kratos' reaction, or rather the lack of reaction after seeing this ominous drawing. I don't know, but for someone who just saw his future death by probably his own son, he seemed very calm. It's as if he accepted his fate. Or maybe he just recognized that it wasn't him. All of these details led me to think that this is not Kratos, which begs the obvious question, who is this man? And honestly, I have no idea. Yet. What do you think? Please let me know your opinion and analysis in the comment section. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to click a thumbs up if you did and hit that subscribe button for more content like this one. Thanks for watching.